The converted man here. Testify claims that Greg Spencer claims that he has medically documented healing from blindness. Okay, so that should be interesting. It's too bad that there's not any of that documentation linked in anything in the description. Maybe it's pinned. Nope, it's not. And yeah, so that's not there. Where are these medical documents that show that he had blindness and or that he suddenly recovered from blindness? Well, aren't there. It's not there, and that doesn't surprise me. But that's not the only claim that this video makes. It has absolutely no evidence for anything at all. So let's listen in. It should be fun.
Country, but this new career lasted only about 6 months. His vision began to decline, and medical professionals diagnosed him with macular degeneration, a condition that is irreversible. Tests included mapping the structure of his eyes and revealed a form of permanent mottling in the center of his vision. His vision quickly declined from normal vision to 2200 in one eye and 2400 in the other. He was legally blind. Placed on disability, he went through the full training for blindness with the Oregon Commission for the Blind, never expecting to see again. Soon after this, Spencer met a believer named Wendy, who helped him come to faith in Christ and also became his wife. Still troubled.
Yeah, so diagnoses can be wrong, but we would have documentation for all of that. Where is it? Why didn't you have it there? Why doesn't he have it available for everybody to look at? It says you can hear the testimony of his own healing in his own words about an hour and 10 minutes in on this long, lengthy video. Yeah, great. I'm sure he's got testimony, but that's not documentation. He says here medically documented healing for blindness. So you'd have to have the medical documentation for blindness, and you'd have to show that this was, got a second, maybe a third opinion, make sure that you really had the correct diagnosis, and then you'd have to show that you didn't get any treatment at all whatsoever from any doctors for that condition, and that you were then recovered from it. And you'd have to show documentation of that. But you don't have that. So you don't have anything other than a testimony. So that's it. That's all you've got. But yet people believe that there's documentation because you say that there's documentation. And in the comments, people are saying, "Oh yeah, there's this is all great." This one person said, this came just at the right time. Been feeling pretty anxious about my faith lately, and this helped. I always have that little gremlin in my head that's skeptical. Maybe you should listen to that gremlin. Maybe it's right. Anyways, the fact that this has lots of documentation, like social security letters, I needed this. Thank you. Well, the social security numbers, letters, would show that you're getting disability, but it's not impossible to con the Social Security Administration. But where are those letters? Can we see them? Do you have a link to them? Anything? No? Okay.
By memories of the awful scenes he had witnessed earlier, he attended a church retreat focused on the healing of his mind. While he was praying for the healing of his mind, he felt that God said, "You are clean." When Spencer opened his eyes, he discovered that God had restored not only his mind but also his vision. 2 witnesses who were present confirmed what happened to Spencer next. He rushed out.
Man, did those 2 witnesses take any photographs of him at that time or video? I mean, it's so weird how nobody seems to have a cell phone around when stuff like this happens, or thinks, "Hey, maybe we should get a recording of this. Maybe we should get some pictures." Like, wasn't his eyes covered by bandages? I guess his eyes weren't covered by bandages. Like, was he wearing the dark sunglasses or not? I don't know. But he opens his eyes like, "Oh my word, I can see," and nobody like takes a picture or records a video. Just, "Oh yeah, there was people there that happened to be there." What, only 2 people? Like, who else was in that? There wasn't that many people in the church. I mean, wouldn't more people notice this? I don't know. Seems kind of suspect to me.
outside to learn that he could really see fully. One of the witnesses, Randy Webb, recounts that Spencer announced to him, "Randy, I've been healed." "What?" Webb asked. I can see, I can see." Webb pointed to some blackbirds barely visible in the distance. "Can you see those birds out there?" he queried. "Yeah, I can see those birds." Then Spencer began looking around everywhere and describing all the things that he could now see. He found that he could read license plates in the distance that even his friends could not read. The rest of the weekend, he went around reading license plates to celebrate that he could. On the way home from the retreat, he kept pointing out, "I can see that." Yet to Spencer, the greatest part of the miracle was the healing of his mind. Unfortunately for books like this one, when people experience healing, they usually celebrate without collecting any documentation for their experience. Spencer did not have that luxury, however, because he now needed to get off disability, and the Social Security Administration could not accept an undocumented claim that macular degeneration had simply disappeared. That was not supposed to happen. Perhaps he simply
I don't know about that. You call the Social Security and say, "Look, I'm not disabled anymore." Yeah. And be like, "Yeah, sure. We don't want to keep paying you. You know how hard it is to get disability?" I don't know. Seems suspect to me.
faked his blindness earlier. A number of professionals carefully examined him, however, and the documentation is clear. Before his experience, he was legally blind, but afterward he could see. More than 3 years after Spencer's diagnosis of 2400 vision, the same specialist confirmed that he had experienced a remarkable return of his visual acuity, which was now measured at 2030. Although 2030 is not quite 2020 vision, it is far better than my own vision. After finishing its investigation, the Social Security Administration acknowledged that Spencer's eyesight was no longer impaired, that he had been blind but now could see.
Okay, so let's see. We're writing to let you know we've made a decision on your case after reviewing your information carefully. We decided that your health has improved since we reviewed your case and now able to work. Now, this sounds like a re-review. It doesn't sound like he told them or anything. But like I said, diagnoses can be wrong. Maybe he, said he was disabled and he wasn't. I don't know. This just doesn't ring true. But we don't have the actual thing. So, that's a little bit of a problem. And then, they have medical records, but why don't we have those medical records? See? So that's another problem. So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't really prove that you were blind. It just proves that they decided that you don't qualify for this particular disability anymore. So you might have been semi-blind or not fully blind, or I mean, and does this thing go away on its own? Does it get healed on its own normally? Does it never get healed? There's so many questions here. Just seems really suspect that we wouldn't have more than just this.
Years after his healing, now at age 61, Spencer's sight remains normal for his age. Of course, everything has a downside. When your benefits stop, you have to go back to work. End quote. So overall, I found this to be just a really impressive miracle claim. Macular degeneration is an irreversible condition, as Keener said, so the idea of a psychosomatic explanation or spontaneous reversal would seem to be ruled out. Such an event has a very small probability of happening, and the healing happened in the context of prayer. And the healing was instant, permanent, as Spencer's still healed 18 years later. I think it's safe.
Yeah, but we don't know that. We don't have any evidence that it was during that prayer. It was immediately that day. We have a couple people that were there. That's nothing. Nobody took any pictures, video, nothing, recorded audio, something. So you don't really have it. And then you said, wait a minute, is it rare that it gets healed on its own, or is it impossible for it? Which is it? Because you said it's rare. So can it not be healed?
The impressive miracle claim. Macular degeneration is an irreversible condition, as Keener said.
Okay, so macular degeneration. Let's see. Can it get healed on its own? Because that's the claim. Let's see. All right, let's get that bigger. Let's see. It can result in severe loss of central vision, but people rarely go blind from it. Risk factors include being 50 and over, having blood pressure, and high diet, blah blah blah. Okay, so can it reverse? There's no cure for it. However, there are a few treatments. They can't reverse it, but they can prevent it from worsening. Okay, so that's interesting. But there are treatments. I wonder if he had any. We don't know. Let's see. And there are. Oh, this thing says that there are things that sometimes reverse it. Can you naturally reverse it? Let's see. Well, all right. Let's see. Age-related. Let's see. If you're diagnosed. Let's see. Can't naturally reverse diagnosis. Let's see. Yeah, if they'd include, let's see. No, let's see. It doesn't say if you can naturally reduce it. So, I don't know. Can you reverse it? Let's see. Can you reverse it? Legal blindness develops a minority of patients. So it seems like him going blind in the first place is actually rare. So maybe he actually wasn't blind. Maybe he just faked being blind for disability. And then, he was like, well, I can see. I'm fine. Go back to work. Yeah. Let's see. So there's a dry form and then there's a wet form. And then there's different, dry form results from, let's see, breaking down. So there can be vision loss ranging from mild to profound. Wet is worse, I think. Vision loss may be rapid. There are treatment. No, maybe the wet's better, but there's treatment option for that. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if it will reverse macular through diet. Yeah. Yeah, this one courageous individual is able to reverse it. Yeah, well, too bad there's no actual documentation. So yeah, that's it. There's nothing there. Just an empty claim with one thing from Social Security. That's really not much. That really doesn't prove anything. Oh well. But kind of goes to show how easy it is to convince people of something. Till next time, stay skeptical.